I'm bigcal and welcome to my world. So after doing 21 mini SNES mini reviews, just like I did last year with the mini NES, it is now time to actually talk about, the system in general. And of course, we're talking about the Super Nintendo Classic Mini, or the mini SNES, just for, ease. A bit dusty there, it's been sat on my shelf, the nice box. Got it on launch, just because over here in the UK, I think it was far easier to pre-order and get hold of one than, in the US. A lot of places didn't open pre-orders, you had to go to an actual store. It seems that, pre-ordering online for certain things doesn't seem to be that big over in the US, at least from what I tend to hear, especially with systems like this. Anyway, I pre-ordered it pretty much as soon as it came online. And, got mine on day one, just like I did with the mini NES. I've been, touch wood, very lucky with things like this. So, the actual mini system itself, we have here, you can compare it with my Super Nintendo, a little bit yellow of course, and the mini Super Nintendo. And yeah, it just looks absolutely fantastic. The original design is all there. Everything looks great. It's just a miniature version. The only real difference is the back, obviously with different connectors. Hopefully that's got that right. Everything else looks the same, except of course the eject button doesn't do anything like it doesn't here, and the dust cover doesn't open or close because there's nothing to put in there. And of course for the controllers, you have to pull this little tab down and get to the other controller ports that actually fit the mini SNES. It would have been nice, I guess, like the mini NES to actually have the controller ports on the front, but I see where they're coming from. We wanted to replicate the actual design. These ports still look more similar to the original NES than they do to the Super Nintendo, so I'm okay with it. I don't mind it being put down like that. Controller wise, here is an original Super Nintendo controller, very nice, and here is the mini SNES controller. As you can see, aside from a small crack on this, they are pretty much identical. Size wise, so the first time I've actually had the original controller out to compare myself. Yeah, it looks pretty much the same. Buttons feel just as good, absolutely fine, absolutely perfect. If anything, a little more, the D-pad's a little more stiff than squishy because this is pretty old. Shoulder buttons feel a little bit better again on this. This is all. The only real difference is the texture of the plastic casing. This one, the original, is nice and smooth. This one has sort of a little tiny roughness to it. It actually feels more like the plastic on the actual Super Nintendo original here. That's the same, and this is plastic. Smooth plastic. I don't know if maybe it's just over time with wear that this has become smooth. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've held a brand new Super Nintendo controller. Cable length. We get much more this time with the Super Nintendo than we did with the mini NES. I do have obviously the cable extensions that I got for the mini NES that work on this, but thankfully I don't need them. I can set this up by my TV, and I can sit in bed and play just fine without needing the controller extension, which is great. Of course, the original controller is like, twice, maybe 3 times as long. But yeah, the length on this one is still much better, and I haven't personally had any issues with it. The only problem is that, to change games and things like that, when you're playing one to come out, you have to press the reset button on the system. There's no, shortcut or anything with the controller, which is a bit of a shame. I'm guessing like the mini NES, if you use a classic controller, you can press the home button. But, I'm using a real Nintendo controller. Proper SNES controller. Just put that one down without breaking it. So there is a system. Design-wise, absolutely perfect. Of course, in the UK, we got the beautiful nice Super Famicom design, and America, they got their own clunky purple plastic crap design. Yeah. So, the actual games, obviously, I have talked about them all in a mini review video. They were supposed to be daily, but unfortunately, after a couple, I ended up coming down with the dreaded man flu, and my voice was totally shot, and I couldn't do anything for like 2 weeks. And even when I started back, I think the first week, my voice was still screwed up, but I kept doing it anyway. So, they've only just finished, like 2.5 weeks later than they should have. I was hoping to have them all done in the month of October. Now we're in November. Of course, watch those if you want to hear me talk a little bit more about the games. Remember, they are just mini reviews, just sort of like my first time playing them on the system. The most that I played of any of them was like an hour and a half. So, they're not in-depth full reviews, they are mini reviews. So, we have the classic game, Super Mario World, which, in my opinion, is still the greatest game of all time. Absolutely adore that game. What was I going to say about it? Yeah, for my mini review, I gave it the full 2 thumbs up, which was the highest score available. I decided to move away from the out of 10 scale from last year, because that tended to confuse a lot of people. Because the scale out of 10 wasn't whether it was a 10 out of 10 game or a 5 out of 5 game or a 2 out of 10, 5 out of 10 game, 2 out of 10 game. It was whether I think you should play it first or not. So if it was 10 out of 10, yes, that's the perfect choice to play first. If it was 1 out of 10, play it last, or not at all. So I just went with thumbs up, 1 thumbs up, 2 thumbs up, 1 thumbs down, 2 thumbs down. I think we did 2 games get the 2 thumbs down, I think, from me. So that was very rare. And most of the games got, 2 thumbs up actually. There were quite a few that got 2 thumbs up. Super Mario World did, I think Super Metroid might have done. Super Mario Kart did, F-Zero did, Super Castlevania 4 did, Kirby Superstar did, Yoshi's Island did, and a bunch of others. I suppose the biggest surprise out of this is that I actually enjoyed playing The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. So anyone that knows me knows that I just don't care about the Zelda franchise. And last year, the Mini NES, I tried playing the original. I just don't get the love for it. I don't think it's very good. But the sequel, much better. Absolutely enjoyed it. I would very much one day like to continue and complete it. So that's great. And the selection of games, just in general, this is fantastic. Like I said, there's so many games that got 2 thumbs up, or at least 1 thumbs up, so all very good. There were only, I think, 2 that I just wouldn't bother playing ever again. One of them being Kirby's Dream Course, which just terrible, and Super Ghouls and Ghosts, which actually surprised me because I like Ghosts and Goblins. I enjoyed it very much, the mini SNES. Super Ghouls and Ghosts, I definitely had some issues with that just made the game unplayable to me. But everything else, definitely worth playing. And of course, for the first time ever, we got to Star Fox 2. First time it had been released in full. There's been ROMs out there for years, but they were never the full, final, finished version. So we finally got it released here, although it technically should be called Star Wing 2 over here. Just saying. We should have also had it been called Star Wing. Just normal Star Fox should have been called Star Wings. That's what it was called for us over here due to some copyright issues with a German company, I think. Who the fuck actually knows? But yeah. So it was great to have that on the system. So features of the mini SNES system, similar to the mini NES, you have your standard 4:3 view, which is what I tended to use because that's kind of what we all grew up with. You have a CRT filter, which gives you those lines, which I don't understand. If I'm going to play a game, I want to play in the best quality available, so why would I want it to look worse? Yeah, okay, people have nostalgia for playing it on the old monitors, the old screens. I played them on those, and you got the CRT, lines and things, the scan lines. But I don't want to play them like that. It's like, I mentioned this on Twitter, it'd be like in the future, we're on like 10K systems, and they'll bring out a mini Xbox, And it's like, oh, I want to play the mini Xbox in standard with the standard definition filter where everything looks like shit compared to what we actually have now. It's like, no, why would I want to do that? I don't want to play the game in the way it looked years ago. I want to play it, in a better quality. I'm connecting it with a HDMI cable. I want to play it in fucking HD. It'd be like getting a DVD and having a VHS filter, with all the lines going up and down, and it going fuzzy in and out at times, and that when you pause it, it's not a clear picture and things like that. It's just like, why would you want to do that? Okay, it makes no sense. But whatever. So you have that, and then you also have the Pixel Perfect, which squashes everything down to a proper square and makes everything better. But I personally just prefer 4:3. You also have borders, because obviously the display isn't in widescreen, it's in 4:3, so on widescreen TVs now, you've got your black borders, but now you've got a bunch of different border types you can choose between, and I suppose they're nice to have there, but just the black borders is fine. I don't need something fancy on the sides. Black is just fine for me. You have the save states once again. When you're playing a game, you press the reset button to go back to the main menu. You have the option to save the save state, as well as obviously you got the save feature within the games. You can have a save state there. You can have up to 4. You can lock them in so you don't accidentally delete them. And also with the save states, you can rewind a certain amount of time in a level. So if you're going through somewhere and you accidentally dropped off a ledge, you hit the reset button, go to the save state, and then you can choose to go into the rewind option. You can rewind a bit and start playing again. It's a cool feature to have. Definitely with some of the games involved, like Super Ghouls and Ghosts probably needs it, because Christ knows that game's shite, in my opinion. Maybe even for one of the RPG games, you mess up in a fight, you just go back. It's like, okay, I'm going to heal here rather than attack, because I know he's going to murder me and I need the healing item to survive the attack. Things like that can be cool, but don't really interest me. I've only used it just to try it out so I can record a little bit of footage to show here. Nice feature to have, I guess, but it just doesn't really interest me. Same with the save states. Don't really need them because the game saves itself for the most part. I don't know, maybe for one of the other games a save state might help, but for nothing I've really played, I haven't found the need for a save state. But it is there for those who want it. So overall, I am extraordinarily happy with the Super Nintendo Classic Mini. It is a fantastic little system. I adore the Super Nintendo. It's up there as one of my favourite consoles, along with the original PS1. While I did have a NES growing up, obviously, the Super Nintendo I was a little bit older, could appreciate it more and playing on it more. Definitely love it more when I got back into retro gaming. Super Nintendo was the first one I went for. The list of games is fantastic. I only own a couple of them. Let's see. I own Super Mario World, Star Fox, Super Mario Kart, and Contra 3 The Alien Wars. And then I have a version of Street Fighter 2. I think I have just the bog standard version, so I don't have turbo hyper fighting. So yeah, I only own a handful of games. A bunch of them are on here, are quite expensive to get hold of now. They're absolutely fantastic to play. The controller, again, very nice to use, great, feels just like the original for the most part. Like I said, it's just a bit newer, so the buttons feel a little bit better. Longer cable, and of course there were 2 packed in with the system. The other one is upstairs. I haven't had a chance to use it yet because nobody else wants to play with me. Yeah, but it's very nice to have 2 into a lot of 2-player games on here, so well done Nintendo for that. Plus, with the Mini NES, apparently getting hold of a second controller was rather difficult. I pre-ordered one with my system and got it, and it's still in the box upstairs unopened because I haven't had a need to dig it out. And honestly, I'll probably leave it in there if I ever have a 2-player on the Mini NES. I suppose I could just use the second controller for one of these, or a classic controller that I have for the Wii. So it'll stay there as a collector's item, I guess. But yeah, 2 controllers packed in the system, so it costs a little bit more than what the Mini NES did, but you got higher quality games, in my opinion. There might be less, but the higher quality, especially with the RPGs, there are like 4 in here. and those are going to last you a long time, especially, well, there's probably some alternate endings in a couple of them, don't really know. Yeah, you've got the multiplayer games, 2 controllers, that's going to last you a long time, well worth the money. So the Super Nintendo SNES Classic is absolutely fantastic, so glad I got it, with Nintendo promising more stock of this and a re-release of the Mini NES. Do not pay scalpers, do not pay over the odds, even if you desperately want one. Wait, be patient, get one for the retail price. It might be worth more, but definitely just wait and pay the retail price. And of course, like the Mini NES, it can be hacked and you can put more games on it if you want to do that. Not against people doing that, it's just not for me. I'm fine with the games that's on it. If I want any more games, I will purchase them. Or at least attempt to, depending on the price. So, I'm Big Cal. Those are my thoughts on the Super Nintendo Mini. Please check out all of my Mini SNES reviews, all 21. I'll put a link somewhere in the description for the playlist of them all. This will go in the playlist as well at the end. So if you don't have one, definitely consider buying one if you can get it at retail price, because this should be getting more in. And also, check out the Mini NES as well when that comes back out next year. Definitely worth it. So I'm Big Cal, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.